Thank you guys for being here. Um, I'm going to do my best today, all right? Man, what a special day, and this place is awesome. I mean, look at this room, it's full, and there's tons of people watching online, too. There's literally hundreds of people from around the country and around the world watching this, and I'm just grateful to all you guys for being a part of this story. And what's funny, this is literally Liz's worst nightmare right here. Not dying, but like this many people looking at her and being somewhere because of her. And so I appreciate your support so much. You guys are incredible. And Lizzy did some incredible things in her life. She laid down her life for her daughter, and she lived life in an incredible way and at a high level. And I know this is just the beginning of the story, honestly. There's so much more that's going to come from this, and this is just the beginning. I don't know where God's going to take this story, but we drew so much strength from so many of you guys, and so many of you had such a great connection with Lizzy and shared so many memories, and we thank you so much for just being there along the process. And I'm going to do my best just to talk today, honor Lizzy, and go through some lessons that I learned from Lizzy, but then also just living life with Lizzy, and just talk about perspective, and where we're at. But I did not think this day would come nearly this early. I thought this maybe in 50 or 60 years from now we'd be doing this, but man, I don't know why. I don't know why now. I don't know why Lizzy. I don't know why us. But I trust God. And whenever we first got to Phoenix that last time, and they told us she wasn't going to make it, those first 3 days were tough, man. I was in mourning. It felt like my heart was being carved out. It was tough. But God on that Wednesday morning gave me just such a peace. And it's hard to articulate it. It's hard to describe it. But the foundation of our faith is that we have an eternity with our Savior, and that we have a future and a hope. And God has made that more evident in my life this week than ever before. And it's pretty awesome to be able to live in that peace and to experience it. And I grew up in the church. I've grown up serving in the church and in ministry and things like that. But I've never felt the hand of God like I have this week. It's been pretty unbelievable. And I know so much as that is from the prayers from all of you. And I thank you so much for those prayers. And we as a family thank you for those prayers. And we appreciate it so much. Whenever you're in a situation where, a doctor tells you, that, you or the person that you love so much has 24 hours to live or they're not going to make it, the list of things you give a crap about gets really, really short, and so, there was just a few things that I thought of in that moment. One, I needed to know that Liz knew that I loved her with all my heart. And it's funny, Liz and I, we were always strong for each other so much throughout all this that we almost never really talked about that this was the end there at the minute. We just are in that moment. We just looked at each other, and it's like we both just kind of knew, but we weren't saying it, and we were both just loving each other. And the beauty of it is that we didn't need to, I knew Liz loved me because of how she had served me for the last 10 years of our relationship. And I know she felt that from me also. And so we knew we loved each other. I knew she knew her Savior, and that gave so much peace and hope. And another thing is that she left it all on the field. Liz lived in a way where, she lived a full life, and I'm proud of her for that. And I think if you could sum up life in a single word, I was trying to figure out how to best say this, but we work very hard in life to accumulate things, to work on things that we feel like are important, but really the only thing that you really leave behind, or that you, I guess, it sums it up, is legacy. It's what legacy are you leaving, whenever your time comes. And when you think about it, how do you know you had a legacy? Was this life meaningful? You look at the response, and that's one thing that I've just been so grateful for today, and just this entire time, is the response that's come from Lizzy's life, and the legacy she's left. And how do you create a legacy? Like, what are the elements that go into creating a legacy and a life of legacy? And I was trying to think, why are so many people responding? Like, literally, my phone and my Facebook account have been, like, I feel like Facebook's going to start charging me for the data that's going through my phone. Like, it's unreal, like, the things that have gone on. Like, the people, famous people, random people, all the stuff that have just, like, reached out to us. And it's just, it's incredible. But how did that happen? I was like, what happened? How did so many people, feel so connected to Liz? And if you know Liz, you know how she lived her life, and she lived selflessly. And it's got, creating a legacy and creating a group of people that really care about you, you would think would be something the opposite of what it really is. You would think that it meant everything's about you, and that it's, you get people that are giving you attention and things like that. But Liz, it's actually the opposite. And Liz, personified that she lived selflessly. And if you break that down, what that means, it's selfless, others more. And we could probably raise hands for the people that have been with Liz or watched a movie with Liz or whatever, where she would try and convince you that she needed to sit on the floor and you needed to sit on the couch, and that would just be better for her back or whatever. Who knows why? But that's Liz. That is 100% Liz. Because she lived her life like that, a whole lot of people felt value from her, and they loved her. And she ended up creating a legacy because of how she lived. I'm going to do my best here to describe Lizzy, and then I'll just go through some lessons. But Lizzy was a pretty incredible person, and she was special. I know everybody says that at funerals, but usually it's crap, but Lizzy really was special. And she really was. And Lizzy was very smart. Like, Lizzy was incredibly smart, but she was humbly smart. She didn't let you know she was smart till she wanted to. I mean, she was, it was actually 3 years into dating that I was talking about this guy that I'd met that was really, really smart. And I was like, he's a Mensa, his IQ's up there. She's like, oh, well, I qualified for one of those. And I was like, what do you mean? And if you don't know what Mensa is, it's top 1% of the population in IQ. And I was like, I knew it. I was like, I knew you were so much smarter than me. But she was incredibly intelligent, but she let you know in a way that helped you feel connected with her, and it was pretty incredible. She was tough to argue with, but she was incredible. She was insanely funny. Like, I always told her, I was like, you are the funniest female I have ever met in my life by far. Like, she was hilarious. One quick funny story. I was working out with a friend of mine who was a trainer at Snap Fitness. This is several years ago when Liz and I were still dating. And Lizzy was working at the gym at the time. And so she was working the front desk, and he and I were in there. He's this big, strong guy. And we're working out over there, and he's sitting on the bench, and he's got these weights on his knees, and he's, telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like taking it all in. And then, so we're having this intense conversation about working out and what all this means and that means. And Lizzy, she just kind of casually like walks up to kind of where we're at, and she's standing at the end of the weights, and she goes, hey guys. And we kind of look over, she goes, do y'all have any rats? And we both look, and my friend's like, what'd you say? And she goes, do you guys have any rats? And I was like, at this point too, I was like, what are you saying? And she goes, rats to feed these pythons. And she just like, and it's just it's a silly story, but the fact of the matter is, it caught us so off guard that literally, like, we both fell on the floor, and it ruined our workout. Like, it was incredible. But she had the quickest wit of anybody I ever met. She was so stinking funny, and she was the funniest when it was just her and I sitting there watching a movie or something. She'd say something so clever that it took me about 15 seconds to, like, the layers of funny. I was like, what? That was funny on like 8 different levels. I was like, holy cow! Like, and it was awesome. For sure. She was also beautiful. She was an incredibly beautiful girl. She had great legs, great boobs. She was really hot. But the thing is, she was beautiful all the time. And I'm sorry, she was really, really upset that I said that. But Marlene, I'm sorry, I should not have said that. But Liz loved to present herself in a classy, which is why I shouldn't have said that way, but she, it didn't matter if she was, we hiked the Grand Canyon together. We, would be camping. She'd be playing basketball, and her hair would be done, and she prided herself on just always presenting herself in a good way. She was also a servant, and like I said before, she found ways to serve other people, and that was just so much of who she was, like on so many levels. She was humble, and she did so many things for so many other people, and that other people got recognition for, but she did not want the recognition because she wanted to figure out a way to make other people feel special. She was insanely competitive, and this was a subtle, you didn't know this about her until you got her in the right setting about how competitive she actually was. This is a funny story her dad tells, and he can tell it a lot better than I could tell it, but she was playing high school basketball her senior year against their rival school, and she had a great first half of the game, had 14 points the first half, and then the second half had started, and the other team had fouled her, and it was a questionable call, and so she was at the free throw line, and they were booing her and just giving her just all kinds of crap, and so she steps up to the free throw line, goes through her routine, hits her first shot, and then they're just pouring it on, and Dan tells the story way better than I do. But the second shot came up, and so she goes through, bounces the ball, looks at the crowd on the bench, drains the shot, and then just walks backwards like this. And if you know Liz, that is so funny. It's because after the game, she probably was walking up asking them if she could get them juice or something like that. But in those moments, she was so competitive, and it was pretty funny. But and then she loved God. She loved the Lord with all of her heart, and she challenged me in that area of my life so much on a daily basis, and I'm grateful for that. And she was very, very special. She lived life at a high level, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned from Liz. Whenever we started spending a lot of time together, so I was like, man, I'm going to have to step up my game in every area, because she lives life at such a high level that I had to step up. And so I'm just going to go through a few lessons that I learned from Lizzy, and life lessons here. One is this: do crap. I know that's not a very articulate way to say that, but the fact of the matter is, Lizzy lived life. She did stuff all the time, every day, whether it was racing or it was going to a movie or whatever. She lived. She didn't just sit around and exist. She lived life, and I loved that about her. I loved that she always made life better. She always made life more fun, and she was great at living it. Even simple things. I remember we would be hanging out with some friends, and we were going to watch a movie and have ice cream, and she'd like, well, we need chocolate syrup, and we need a magic shell for this ice cream. And for me, for some reason, once I'm in the house, it's like we ain't leaving the house. It's like, we're here. Yeah, it'd be nice if we had chocolate syrup, but we're not going to go leave to get chocolate syrup. That's just how I thought. But Liz would be like, no, we need it. We got to go. And so, I was like, well, I guess we need it. So it's we would go. But then we'd get it, and the memories would be better, and so it was just, Lizzy was just great at living, and she lived life at such a let's make it right. Let's do it big. Let's have fun. Number two is do crap now. And the reason why I said that is that so many people, they hear that and they say, yeah, I do need to do more, or maybe, yeah, that's inspiring, or man, that does sound fun. I want to do stuff, but everybody we all know that, we all think that, and we talk a lot in our office that everybody thinks in 90 days from now everything's going to be different in their life. Well, man, in 90 days from now I will have started working out, or I'll be in my workout program, or I will have started my diet, or I'll be less busy, or we'll have this paid off, or whatever. And people intend their way through life, intending to do everything, and the graveyards of this world are full of good intentions. And one thing about Lizzy is that if something needed to be done, she was like, let's do it right now. Let's do it today. If we said, hey, it'd be fun to go do this, she's like, well, let's get online and let's book the tickets. And I just want to encourage you today that it's fun to live life when you're with a doer. And don't wait until later to start doing, And that can be for fun things, but it can also be for how you live. Don't wait until tomorrow to love your spouse. Love them today, Don't wait until tomorrow to be a good dad, or a good mom. Be a good dad or mom today, don't don't wait to be all you can be. Be all you can be today, and that was Lizzy. And next is love first and love more. Lizzy was incredible at this, and this is really why our marriage was so strong and our relationship was so strong. We had, absolutely a fairy tale love and relationship, and the reason is, and I wish I could say it's because I contributed so much to, the foundation that it was built on, but she initiated it. Like, she served me first, and I couldn't do anything but respond in a like manner. Like, I remember there would be things, like we would take a trip together or something, and I would have forgotten my phone charger or whatever, and so without me knowing, she would, she'd go plug in her phone charger on my side of the bed, plug my phone in, and then that next morning, I would catch her going over, like, plugging her phone into the phone charger, and I'd be like, did you not have your phone charged? She was like, oh, well, whatever, and she never even told me that. She wasn't even looking for recognition. If there would be a way that I wouldn't find out, she'd like that better, and so she would serve me on a daily basis, and so how am I supposed to respond to that? Like, am I going to respond like, well, a jerk? No, I responded just because of her service and the fact that we began to serve each other in a way. It brought us together in such a way that we were inseparable. We had an incredible relationship, but it's because she initiated service into our lives. And so I challenge you to do that. If you're frustrated with your spouse, if you don't feel like things are where you want to be, just start serving and see what happens. And I promise you, God will work through that. Next is live deep, Live deep. And the thing about today is I'm all right with the pain that I feel today because I got to live the joy the last 10 years with Lizzy, And you can't, in life you can't pick one without the other because we live in a fallen world, And you can't say, I just want all the happiness, I want all the joy, but I don't want any of the pain. And I'm all right with it. If 10 years ago, I could have read the rest of this script and seen how it would have panned out today, I still would have signed up for this job. And I still would have taken this and been with Lizzy because of the things I got to experience these last 10 years with Lizzy. They were so much better than the pain that I feel now. And so I just challenge you to live deep, live in a deep way. Next is be tough. We're guaranteed to struggle in life. There's going to be struggles. There's going to be loss. There's going to be pain. There's going to be hurt. It's a guarantee. There's not a struggleless life out there. But so just accept that and understand that something that's tough is just your perspective. There's a lot of things out there tougher. And weakness just slows you down and it delays you being able to live your life. Just get through it, fight through it, come together with the people that you love and keep on going. Lizzy was so tough. I had started writing out all the things that she had to go through in the last year and a half, but it was pretty depressing. But she had like 6 operations. She had messed up. The tumor had blocked her kidneys, and for some reason she had like 12 kidney stones she had to pass in like 36 hours. It was just like just crazy thing after crazy thing that had to happen. What was funny in those moments, she was so freaking tough. And even when she was like, I remember that day when she was having to pass all the kidney stones, like she was just in the shower because like the hot water gave her relief, but she was in there and she would pass. So she started like collecting these little crystal kidney stones that would come out. She had like a little saucer of them and she was joking that she's going to make a necklace. And I was like, my gosh, you make me not feel like a man. I'm like, how are you so freaking tough? And she was tough, man. She really was. And she didn't need recognition for her toughness. She was just tough. And so I just challenge you to be tough because you're stronger than you think you are. Next is work hard. Lizzy had a work ethic that challenged me, and it was inspiring. And both of us had this desire to do something great with our lives. And, I always say this when I'm talking in business, but I don't know why, but God put this beast inside of me that just will not allow me. The thing that freaks me out more than anything is if at the end of my life, when I'm looking back, I say, man, I lived an average and ordinary, mediocre life. I didn't have any, it was normal, nothing too crazy. We had, white picket fence, is nice, all that freaks me out. Like, I don't want that. Like, we get one shot, I want it to be intense. I want it to be memories. I want to make mistakes. I want to have fun. I want all those things to happen. And Lizzy and I's heart was the same in that. And so I just want to challenge you not to settle. If you feel like you're settling in life, change it and work hard. Next is have fun. Liz made everything fun because she enjoyed the simple things in life. She loved to watch movies. She loved to watch shows. She loved to, she would make snacks, having snacks fun. She would, whether we went to a restaurant, she just got so excited about certain things. And it made living a life so rich, and it made it so fun. And so, life is what you make of it. If you live every day and your expectations are that it's going to be a great day, and that your expectations are things are going to be a lot of fun and they're going to be great, they will be. What you think your life will be like, it'll be like. And Liz lived life in a very fun way. Embrace your trials. This is kind of goes along with being tough, but embrace your trials. We're all guaranteed trials. And I'm such a better man today than I was 2 years ago. Because, I feel like God's helped me, but I feel like I'm growing through this, not just going through it. And whatever the trials you are, life, it deals you some crazy cards sometimes, but if you trust God, and you say, how can I get better? What can I learn? How can I live life better? Then it's good. Next is honor your commitments. This is something that Liz did well for me and in everything. Everybody keeps talking about that she was a runner and things like that. She made a commitment one time. I remember that she was going to run at least a mile a day for a year. And so she started doing a mile a day for a year, and she did that. There was days she would be hurt, or it'd be like we'd get in late. It'd be like 11:30. We'd get in bed, and she'd lay there, and she'd go, "Oh, crap." And I'd be like, "What?" She's like, "I haven't run yet." And I was like, "Well, what are you going to do? I'm not getting out of bed." And so she would be like, "I'll be back in a little bit." She'd get up, put her shoes on, and she'd go run. And then she'd come back. And it's funny, at the end of that year, she... I remember the day that it was a full year. Afterwards, we went out that night and celebrated, got food, and got her a little gift, and I was like, "Man, you're such a stud," all this. The next morning, she freaking got up and was putting her shoes on to go run. I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm going to run." I was like, "You're not going to take one day off? Like, one day?" And she's like, "I just can't." And she ended up running 411 days in a row before she got hurt, but she made a commitment. And so I always think about, things sometimes, and I'm always think about 411. I'm always like the 411 because I knew that's how many days in a row that she ran. And your word is your bond, and it's everything. Like there's so many, the things that mean something in life are the intangibles. Things like your word and your character and your integrity, and so honor your commitments. Value time. This is something that's very, very important, especially when you go through things like this in life. You just realize how precious time is. But see time as a currency. You can either spend it or you can invest it. And, it's okay to want to be ambitious and do things and build a life for yourself. And all those things are good. They're all important. And you can have it all in life if you learn how to invest your time. And I tell people and seek for quality versus quantity. If you sit down, if you say, "Man, I'm going to spend time with my family," and you sit down in your chair for 2 hours and watch TV while your kids are running around the house, you can spend 2 hours that way, or you can spend an hour on the floor playing peekaboo with your kid and crawling around on their level. I'll take the hour, and you can spend it or you can invest it, and time is a precious, precious thing. Next is make an impact when there's no camera crew or trophy to be won. And Liz, I got a front row seat to watch her do this all the time. And here's the thing too, whenever that doctor was sitting there talking to us and he was telling us, that we needed to terminate this baby, and it was really the only decision we had if she wanted to make it. And And we told him we didn't want to do that, and he was very condescending and, said, well, you guys are being greedy and you're being foolish, is basically what he said. And Liz, in nicer words, basically told him to shove it. And so that was Lizzy. But she didn't know she was going to get a lot of recognition for this. She didn't know this was going to happen. She didn't know all these people would be admiring her. She just knew it was the right thing to do, and she just knew that's what she wanted to do. And, the moments when you're making the right decision and you're making a tough decision, they usually aren't easy and they're usually not public. And, my mom always said, she said, Chris, you are the man you are when no one's watching. And that's a powerful phrase. And so, it's easy to make the right decision when a bunch of people are sitting there watching you make the decision, but when you're alone and and it's just you and God, make the right decision, because, that's what ultimately ends up being the value in your life. Last two things are this. Make sure that you're proud of the person that's looking back at you in the mirror, and, you can work hard to make a whole lot of other people proud, and a whole lot of other people can think that you're great and you're special and all those things, but man, I don't know, I want Chris Shepard to be proud of Chris Shepard, and I wanted Liz to be proud of me, and I want Sophie to be proud of me, and it's, that's what life is all about. It's how you feel about you, and that's important. Next is give all you've got, and again, this is Liz. The last week that Liz was alive, she basically was unresponsive, and they called us all in there, and they said, she's going to pass here in the next couple hours. It's going to be hours, not days, so you need to be here. And so we were there, and we sat there in that room all day long just watching her breathe. And then it got to like 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and we're like, oh, she's still breathing, and she just kept going. And so everybody was like, well, I'm going to go sleep on the couch in the lobby, like call me if something happens, and so she made it through the night. And then they were like, well, we can't believe it, man, she's strong, oh, she's a runner, yeah, she's got that runner's heart, all those things like that. And then she did the same thing again the next day, and then she did the same thing another day, and she went 6 days like that, where she wouldn't freaking quit. And the nurse and the doctor basically said, they're like, there's literally nothing in her body that's still alive but her heart and her lungs, and they wouldn't quit beating, and she wouldn't quit fighting. And I remember it was like one of the last conversations I had with her the day that she went unresponsive, and I was like going through this battle in my head, because I was like, man, do I keep praying that God heals her and gives her back, or do I need to just pray God take her, and so I knelt down by her bed and put my head next to hers, and I just told her I loved her, and I kissed her on the cheek, and I said, Lizzy, do you want to keep fighting? And she was laying there, and she nodded her head, and I was like, dang it. I was like, man, she just wanted to live, and she fought, and even when she consciously wasn't there anymore, her heart was still fighting. And I'm so proud of her for that, because she literally left everything on the field. And I just, people were sad that was going on. I was like, I'm proud of her, man. She's fighting, she's giving it all she's got, and she's going to have no regrets for that. And so I just challenge you to give everything you've got every day. And again, a lot of these blend together, but live life at a level where at the end of it, you're proud that you lived it the way you did. And in closing, I believe I still represent Liz. And so I want when people meet me, they say, man, Chris is an incredible man. And so Liz must have been an incredible woman. And Lizzy, I hope you can still see me, because I intend every day to make you proud, and I love you. And I thank you guys, and always live Lizzy Strong. I love you guys.
can hurt. Loving can hurt sometimes.